Imagine being able to fly anywhere you want within less than 2 hours. Now, I personally like watching my favorite movie, The Lion King, whenever I get to fly home to Germany, and this would not leave me with enough time anymore to do so. But I think after all, we would all agree that a faster flight is still worth it. But what if I told you that you would actually be exposed to air that gets as hot as the surface of the sun, while only being protected by the thin outer shell of your airplane? Suddenly, this idea of high-speed sound sounds crazy, right? Well, the good news is we have already been able to fly that fast more than half a century ago. In fact, it was back in 1967 when Pete Knight stepped inside the X-15, an airplane that was developed by the US Air Force and NASA, to set a speed record that stands to this day. So why are we not all flying like Pete today? Well, the truth is, we are not yet able to build airplanes that can fly that fast for longer than just a few minutes. The critical component is the heat shield that we put on the outside surface of the airplane. It needs to be strong enough to keep the extreme heat outside in the air away from the inside of the airplane, but it also needs to be as light as possible for good performance. So in order to achieve that, we use a process called ablation. Now, you might have never heard of ablation, but the cool thing is, if you've ever seen a shooting star, you've actually seen what ablation is. A piece of rock that's entering the atmosphere at very high speed heats up due to friction, and in the end, it ablates. It simply burns away, leaving behind a brilliant trail of light. Since that burning process consumes a ton of energy, which is heat, we can actually use it to keep us safe inside the airplane. So that's why, just like shooting stars, the heat shields are designed to slowly burn away in a controlled manner during flight. Now, the problem is, we do not yet really understand how ablation works on a fundamental level. That is, until now. In my research, I look at the chemistry that happens on the heat shield's surface at the scale of tiny little atoms and molecules. Now, that is almost impossible to do with experiments due to the extreme heat. However, a computer really doesn't care what temperature we want to study. It's just another number entering our equations. That's why I use powerful supercomputers to study the chemistry of ablation. Through my work, we are now able to see and understand for the first time how the heat shield burns away atom by atom. This will help us design lighter and safer heat shields and brings us one step closer to what's wildly possible, a future of high-speed flight for all of us. Thank you.